Every girl has that one person who makes her heart race uncontrollably. That person who occupies her thoughts, who makes her smile just by thinking about them, and who turns an ordinary school day into something magical. For Sarah, that person was James, the sweetest boy she'd ever met. James was kind, intelligent, and completely unaware of Sarah's feelings. He had this gentle way about him that made everyone around him feel valued and heard. He would help classmates with their homework, he would listen without judgment, and he carried himself with a quiet confidence that Sarah found absolutely mesmerizing. She watched him every single day, hoping he would notice her. From across the cafeteria, through crowded hallways, in class when his attention was focused on something else. Sarah observed every detail: the way he laughed, the way he concentrated when reading, the kindness in his eyes when he spoke to others. Did you know that teenagers experience emotional intensity 7 times stronger than adults? This is because their brains are still developing, and their emotions are processed more intensely. For Sarah, this meant that her feelings for James weren't just a simple crush, they were consuming, all-encompassing, and absolutely real to her. Sarah had finally decided to confess her feelings to James. After months of watching from the sidelines, of collecting courage, of imagining this moment 1,000 times, she decided that today would be the day. She rehearsed what she would say. She practiced in front of the mirror. She imagined his response, hopefully positive, hopefully understanding. "I'm going to tell him today. I can't keep this to myself anymore," she said to her best friend Lily, her voice filled with determination mixed with fear. She took a deep breath and walked toward him. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. Every step felt significant, every moment leading to what could be a turning point in her life. In the school courtyard, she found James sitting alone, reading a book. The perfect moment. The perfect setting. Everything seemed to align. "James, I need to tell you something important," Sarah said, her voice trembling slightly. "Of course, Sarah. What's on your mind?" he responded, looking up from his book with genuine interest and concern. This was the moment everything would change, but not in the way she hoped. Before Sarah could speak another word, before she could pour out her heart and vulnerability, a shadow fell across the courtyard. Sarah didn't know that her older sister Emma had other plans. Emma, her 19-year-old sister, had seen Sarah and James together. She had noticed the nervous energy, the intention, the moment that was about to unfold. "Hey James, mind if I join you too?" Emma asked, approaching with a bright, confident smile. Sarah felt her moment slipping away before she could even speak. In that single instant, she knew exactly what was happening. Her own sister, her blood, her family, was about to steal not just the moment, but potentially the person she cared about. Emma had always been beautiful, confident, and everything Sarah wasn't. While Sarah was shy and introverted, Emma commanded attention simply by walking into a room. While Sarah doubted herself, Emma seemed absolutely certain of her place in the world. The contrast between the sisters was stark, and in that moment, Sarah felt completely inadequate. And Sarah understood instantly, her sister was stealing her moment on purpose. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't coincidence. This was deliberate. Emma, perhaps out of jealousy, perhaps out of a need to prove her superiority, was intercepting Sarah's confession. James, smiling warmly at Emma, laughing at something she said, completely focused on her, was no longer aware of Sarah's existence. He was so drawn to Emma's energy, her confidence, her apparent interest in him, that Sarah became invisible. Sarah found herself alone with only Lily understanding her pain. In the bathroom, after watching James and Emma leave together, Sarah broke down. Her best friend held her, listening without judgment, offering support without words. "Did you know that betrayal from family members causes deeper emotional pain than betrayal from strangers? This is because we expect our family to protect us, to have our backs, to be our safe place. When that trust is broken, it shakes the foundation of who we are and what we believe in. Your sister is wrong for this. You deserve to be heard," Lily said, her voice firm and protective. But Sarah couldn't respond. All she could do was cry. The entire school would soon know the truth about James and Emma. They would become the it couple that everyone talked about in hallways. Everyone watched as Emma claimed James as her own, publicly, unapologetically, and with a possessiveness that seemed almost cruel when Sarah was present. Sarah's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Each time she saw them together, it was like being broken all over again. Each public display of affection felt like a personal attack. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. All she could do was cry. She cried into her pillow so her parents wouldn't hear. She cried until her eyes were swollen and her throat was raw. She cried for the moment she had lost, for the confession she never got to make, for the future she had imagined. She wondered, was she not enough? Was there something fundamentally wrong with her that made James choose her sister over her? Was her love not valuable enough to be noticed? At home, Emma continued her performance as if nothing was wrong. She sat at the dinner table, talking animatedly about her day, about James, about how wonderful everything was. She seemed oblivious to Sarah's pain, or perhaps worse, she didn't care. And James said my laugh was the most beautiful sound he'd ever heard. Emma exclaimed, completely unaware, or uncaring, of how each word was a knife in Sarah's heart. Emma, I need to talk to you. Now, Sarah finally said, her voice cold and controlled in a way it had never been before. In their shared bedroom, Sarah confronted her sister. How could you do this to me? He was important to me. Sarah's voice shook with rage and hurt, her body trembling with the force of her emotions. Oh please, Sarah. He was never going to like you anyway. You're too boring, Emma replied, her words cutting deeper than any physical blow could. Those words hit harder than Sarah expected. Because the worst part of betrayal isn't that someone takes something from you, it's the reasons they give, the judgments they make about your worthiness. Emma had just confirmed Sarah's deepest fears about herself. I hate you. Sarah cried out, running from the room. Sarah felt completely alone. Her sister, her own blood, had betrayed her in the most personal way possible. Not only had she stolen the boy Sarah loved, but she had also attacked Sarah's sense of self-worth. Days passed like a blur of pain and emptiness. Sarah moved through school like a ghost, present in body but absent in spirit. She couldn't focus on classes. She couldn't eat properly. She couldn't find joy in anything. One day, as she sat in the library, Lily approached her with concern etched on her face. Sarah, you need to talk to James. He deserves to know the truth about Emma, Lily said gently. What's the point? He chose Emma, Sarah replied, her voice hollow. Did you know that healthy relationships are built on honesty, not secrets and deception? When truth is absent, resentment grows. When communication breaks down, trust erodes. Emma had built her connection with James on a foundation of lies. Lies about her intentions, lies about how she felt, lies about Sarah. Meanwhile, James was beginning to sense something wasn't right. Emma's constant need for attention was becoming exhausting. Her possessiveness was turning into something that felt more like control than affection. Emma, I need some space, he finally said to her. But Emma wasn't the type to let go easily. Sarah couldn't focus on anything except the pain. She spent her time in the library, not to study, but to escape. To be alone with her thoughts and her heartbreak. She poured all her heartbreak into her journal. Pages and pages of reflections, of pain, of questions about her own worth and value. Then came the day that would change everything. Fate was about to give Sarah a second chance. As Sarah walked through the hallway, lost in her thoughts, James suddenly stepped in front of her, gently blocking her path. Sarah, I need to talk to you, he said, his voice sincere and urgent. Sarah's heart began to race. What did he want? Was this more pain? More rejection? I haven't felt right about Emma since day one. Something felt off. And when I thought about that day in the courtyard, when you tried to tell me something important, I realized what was happening. I realized that Emma had deliberately interrupted you. I realized that she was being manipulative, and I hate that I fell for it, James explained. Sarah heard something she didn't expect, the truth. The day you met Emma. I was trying to tell you how I felt, Sarah said slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. James finally understood what Sarah had been trying to do that day in the courtyard. He understood the magnitude of what he had missed, what he had lost, what Emma had stolen from both of them. And if you're still feeling that way, I'd like to get to know you better, he said, taking her hand. Sarah felt something she thought was gone forever, hope. Not just hope for romance, but hope that she might be worthy of love. Hope that her voice mattered. Hope that vulnerability could be met with genuine care. I'd really like that, she said, squeezing his hand. Did you know that recovery from emotional pain takes time, patience, and genuine connection? It's not instantaneous. It doesn't happen overnight. But it does happen, especially when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with people who truly see us and value us. Sarah's second chance had arrived. But the story wasn't over yet. Because Emma found out about Sarah and James from social media. And this time, her reaction was different. She was not prepared for Sarah to have her own happy ending. You stole James from me. This is so selfish. Emma confronted Sarah in their bedroom, but her anger seemed hollow, performative. You were never really dating him. You were just trying to hurt me, Sarah said calmly, and this time, she wasn't afraid. In that moment, Sarah saw something surprising in her sister's face, her sister's pain. Emma's anger crumbled, revealing the insecurity and hurt underneath. Emma wasn't evil. She was just insecure. She was jealous not because she truly wanted James, but because she was terrified of being invisible, of being less than, of not being enough. You're always so happy, so confident. People love you, Emma said, tears streaming down her face. I felt so invisible next to you, she continued, finally revealing the truth that had been driving her behavior all along. This was the turning point. This was when Sarah could have chosen revenge, could have thrown Emma's cruelty back in her face, could have walked away forever. Instead, Sarah chose compassion. You were never invisible to me. I always admired you, Sarah said, sitting down beside her sister and taking her hand. Sometimes, forgiveness comes from understanding the pain behind the betrayal. When we understand that people hurt others because they are hurting themselves, forgiveness becomes possible. It doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means we choose healing over bitterness. The sisters finally understood each other. Not perfectly, not completely, but genuinely. I'm sorry, Sarah. I don't deserve your forgiveness, Emma said, her voice small and broken. But you have it anyway. That's what love means, Sarah replied. The family dinner was different this time, honest and real. For the first time in months, Sarah and Emma sat together without tension, without pretense. They looked at each other across the table with understanding. Sisters are forever, even when they hurt you. Family is complicated. It's messy. It's imperfect. But it's also the most powerful force for either our destruction or our healing. Sarah learned that betrayal doesn't have to end relationships. It can transform them. It can deepen them. It can teach us things about ourselves and others that we never would have learned otherwise. Sarah finished writing her story, a story of pain, growth, and redemption. A story that wasn't neat or tidy, but was thoroughly human. Did you know that journaling about painful experiences helps the brain process trauma and heal? When we write about our experiences, we externalize them. We give them shape and form. We distance ourselves from them just enough to see them clearly. And James? He was exactly what Sarah needed, kind, loyal, and true. He stood by her through the healing process. He didn't rush her. He didn't expect instant recovery. He simply showed up, consistently and genuinely. What started as betrayal ended as healing. What began as a crisis became the catalyst for growth, not just for Sarah, but for the entire family. We should promise to always talk to each other from now on, Sarah said to Emma. I promise. I never want to hurt you again, Emma replied. Sarah discovered that the strongest relationships are the ones that survive conflict and grow from it. The families that stay together are the ones that can fight, can hurt each other, and can still choose to work through it. Months passed. Emma began to work on herself, seeking help from a school counselor to understand her jealousy and insecurity. Did you know that family reconciliation strengthens emotional bonds more than never having conflict at all? Conflict gives us the opportunity to test our commitment, to practice forgiveness, to deepen our understanding of each other. The school year ended beautifully. Sarah achieved excellent grades, something she thought impossible during her darkest days. Emma was accepted into the Student Leadership Council. James stood by Sarah's side through it all. The entire school celebration seemed to mark not just the end of a year, but the beginning of a new chapter for all of them. Sarah had learned that heartbreak wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of her journey toward understanding herself, toward recognizing her own worth, toward learning that pain could be transformed into strength. Summer brought the freedom and peace Sarah had been missing. She and James spent days at the beach, exploring their connection without the pressure and eyes of the school. She and Emma spent time shopping together, laughing together, building the sisterhood they had damaged. She had found peace not by running from her pain, but by facing it. By sitting with it. By allowing it to teach her. Did you know that time, patience, and self-care are the three most powerful ingredients for emotional healing? These aren't glamorous. They aren't quick. But they are effective. Everyone was healing in their own way. Lily was there, celebrating every step forward.
James was learning what real love meant.
Emma was discovering her authentic self beneath the layers of insecurity. Family moments became cherished after the period of pain. The Sunday dinners, the casual conversations, the moments of just being together without pretense, these became sacred. Sarah was documenting her journey for herself and anyone who might understand. She kept journaling, capturing the moments of healing, the insights that came, the growth that was happening. She had learned that her pain was not a weakness, it was the beginning of her strength.
Pain teaches us. It humbles us. It makes us more human.
Her story was not perfect, but it was hers. It belonged to her. It was authentic and real and messy and beautiful. Did you know that journaling about personal growth and recovery increases psychological resilience by 35%? When we document our journey, we create evidence of our own strength. Emma was actively building her future with authenticity and purpose. She had decided to study social psychology in college, to understand why people do what they do, to help others navigate their own emotional complexities. "I want to study social psychology and help people understand their own behavior better," she told the college counselor. Emma's journey from manipulation to authenticity was complete. She understood now that her intelligence and charisma were tools meant to lift others up, not tear them down. As summer faded into early fall, the four friends, Sarah, James, Emma, and Lily, stood at the threshold of new beginnings.
Some were heading to college.
Some were entering their final year of high school. But they stood together, united by shared experience, by vulnerability, and by the choice to grow together.
Sarah had found more than love, she had found herself.
She had discovered her own strength, her own worth, her own voice.
Real love is simply being completely yourself with another person. It's not about perfection. It's not about always saying or doing the right thing.
It's about showing up authentically and allowing another person to do the same. Did you know that surrounding yourself with supportive people increases life satisfaction by 67%? The people we choose to keep in our lives matter profoundly. A full year had passed since Sarah's betrayal, but she was no longer the same girl. When she looked in the mirror, she saw someone different. Someone stronger. Someone who had faced pain and emerged from it not broken, but transformed. Her pain had transformed into empathy and strength.
She could now see others' pain more clearly. She could offer compassion more genuinely.
She had become the kind of person she needed when she was suffering. She had learned that vulnerability was the path to authentic connection. Not weakness, not inadequacy, but the brave choice to be fully human with other humans. And this is where the story truly ends, not with a magical resolution, but with understanding. My sister stole my crush, but in the end, she gave me so much more. She gave me the strength to become myself. She gave me the opportunity to learn about forgiveness. She gave me the gift of a deeper family bond. This is the real story of My Sister Stole My Crush.
It's not a story about competition. It's not a story about winning or losing. It's a story about becoming.
It's a story about pain becoming wisdom. It's a story about betrayal becoming the catalyst for growth. And perhaps most importantly, it's a story about choosing love, for ourselves, for those who hurt us, and for the people brave enough to show up authentically in our lives.
The end.